Our group has selected the Vodafone case with a clear objective to analyze the detail of the story, how Vodafone Turkey started its agile transformation process, which will be explained shortly, which had been kicked off as a pilot project and then turned into an organizational change. We're going to see the strategies adopted by Vodafone, which is scaled into 4 categories: people, efficiency, operational excellence, and being proactive. And then the management framework they adopted in order to successfully implement agile transformation. The management framework is called as Scrum. And the 3 important approaches adopted by Vodafone in this transformation process called pilot, scaling, and enterprise adoption, which my colleagues will detail in the next. It was founded in 2006, Turkey's second largest mobile communication company since 2014, having 20.4 million subscribers and more than 3,300 employees, and operating a good 1,200 retail stores with 43,000 stakeholders. Now, let's try to understand, before we talk about agile transformation, what factors have really driven Vodafone Turkey to look or to try to experiment this agile transformation. Because of the competitive pressure, they were in a clear state to shorten the time to market. Time to market is a time period where the organization takes from the formation of the product till it reaches the hand of the customer. Because of the competitive pressure, they were in a clear requirement to bring down this T to M, time to market. So they were in a pressure to bring down the time to market duration. And the second quality related issue they were facing was the defects, the increasing number of defects, especially due to the communication gap between the software developers and the testers, so which they'll have to overcome. So these 2 shortfalls that they were facing was really forcing them to look ways how to improve the productivity. The objective of agile transformation process was to deliver or delivering the leading product to the market with the best T to M and quality in order to provide competitive advantage to the business to enhance customer delight. So they have adopted a 3-phase approach: pilots, setting up a Scrum team with a 7-member with a clear focus on teamwork and transparency, and they implemented it as a pilot phase to one of the business segment called business segment B, which is less priority for them. And then the success of the pilot phase pushed them to expand it among other teams. So they went into they implemented this across 8 teams. They introduced 8 Scrum team, which is called scale phase. They added, in addition to transparency and teamwork, they added standardization as another focus area. And then the success of the scaling phase pushed them to really sustain this success. So they have to adopt this in an organizational wise. So why they did that? To shorten the time to market pressure and enhance the quality with a clear focus to delight the customer. So let me now invite Mr. Dimuthu, who will give you a detailed analysis on what Vodafone did under pilot phase. Mr. Dimuthu.
Thank Farzan. Now I'm going to present the first phase of the approach adopted by Vodafone in the process of agile transformation. So it had been explored what type of a team that they should select. Like they went ahead and did this B type 1 business demand, which is in size under 50 days of development. So that is a model that they selected because which is not a prioritized area and normally it's a outsourced function. But having selected B type 1, they had made due to selection of B type 1, they had to face the challenge of finding the correct team members, correct human resources, and it was a major challenge for them. The cross-functional Scrum team forming was a bit of a challenge as a result of selecting B type 1 business. But having said that, they were able to sort out the issues and form a team by the name and style Cheetah, which has a 7-member team including a Scrum Master. So that was an achievement, we can say, the forming of this team. So after forming of this team, next area was they went for the focus approach. What was their focus approach? That is through Kaizen approach based on team and transparency. So we are going to present the achievements. As a result of forming Team Cheetah, the Kaizen culture, the significant transparency and the teamwork gave them good achievements that we are showing here. So what are the significant cost savings? The significant cost savings, they have projected a couple of millions savings that they expect as a result of this cost saving. So which 3 times fast days of work, 2.4 increased business demand delivery, which both as a result of throughput. So improved planning, the planning has been improved as a result of this, and further emergency rate decreased to 0. Now we are going to do the learning steps from pilot step. So it says what? Start small with 1 or 2 teams. So we will not hurt anybody. It will be a very small teams. This is how the pilot projects are normally started. So it's been successful. Start small with 1 or 2 teams. So focus on creating teamwork and transparency. We discussed earlier the Kaizen approach, the teamwork and transparency, which will give results. Focusing on delivering quick wins. So this is very important, having a quick wins. Then further, teams will do a self-confidence. Self-confidence will be improved. And other thing, don't look for perfection. Don't try to complete planning or you don't complete delivery or something. Just go ahead. Don't look for perfection. You will be able to achieve. Don't work with long sprints. Do small ones. Don't going into longer sprints and do work. And the other one, the last one that I'm going to show you is this. Don't be a flaccid scrum. I mean, always don't be scared. Always go with the attitude and winning attitude. So that will be the winning mode, we can say, and like learning step. This is what we have learned through the pilot step. So next, my colleague Rumesh is going to present scaling step.
Thank you, Dimitu. I am Mohammed Rumesh. With this Vodafone Agile transformation, I am here to talk about the phase 2, which is the scaling out. So let us see what is the background of this scaling out phase. Basically, with the piloting project being successful, the Vodafone was able to go into the second step of scaling phase. So the sponsorship for the agile transformation got stronger. So they increased the number of teams to 6. So their target was in this scaling out phase was transforming the configuration management team, which is the C-type project as said in the case. So these are the projects which cater to the configuration demands. So when they try to implement the scaling out phase, they faced with certain issues and challenges. Let us identify what are the issues they faced at this scaling out phase. So basically they need to staff these teams. So they have to draw out members from the existing teams. These are the testers. They work under different unit and with overlapping projects, many projects. Okay, now let us see what are the challenges they faced during the scaling out phase. So the main challenge that they faced was moving some of these testers from out of their core functional area and to collaborate into the Scrum teams alongside with the already existing team members who are the developers. So the main challenge was to find out the Scrum leaders. The Scrum leaders need to be trained and they have to take forward the team. So what are the solutions they obtained for these challenges? So what they did was they organized the foundation level Scrum training for these team members, everyone who are in these 6 teams. And finally, the agile coaches, they identified potential leaders who can lead these teams, and they were further trained and coached to be the Scrum Masters. Okay, let us now see what are the focus area of work during this scaling out phase. The main focusing area was efficient and effective teamwork of these Scrum teams. So that was the number one, and number two was better transparency within and among the team, and more standardization of the product and services to enhance and improve the quality of the product and services which they provide to customers. So to measure these performances, they basically developed two key KPIs indicators. One is productivity matrix and other one is the quality related matrix. After scaling out phase being successful, Vodafone Turkey moved to a strategic position where establishing an autonomous unit, which is the Agile solution. This unit was incorporated into Vodafone Turkey's organization structure. This was divided into 2 subunits. One is to cater the customer side demands, and the other one is to cater the enterprise side demands. So objective of this Agile solutions units were protecting the Agile culture which was developed throughout this piloting and the scale out phase, and grow without any outside disturbance. Second objective was building an experience center with a body of knowledge which can further support into the future implementation of the similar projects. The third one was creating a role model unit to support Agile adoption through the remaining IT and in the organization. Now let us see what are the results which Vodafone Turkey was able to achieve from this scaling out phase. So entire configuration team were formed into 4 Scrum teams, which were 6 to 8 members in each team. The separate Scrum team to deal with business demand of online channels and teamwork through Scrum practices, and daily stand-up meetings to analyze the operational issues which were arriving, and as a team they were committing to their sprint goal, to achieve their targets within the time frame. And 2-time productivity increased within 8 months, and they were able to introduce new set of KPIs to achieve to bring their targets within the time frame. So the lesson learned from this scaling out phase were focus on transparency within and between the teams, and align with business standardization, and develop new sets of KPIs, and establish an autonomous unit which can further take the implementation within Vodafone Turkey, and which was able to support the enterprise adoption as well. The things which we can learn from this are not to rush and not to lose control. Wait until the final results are achieved. The second one is do not underestimate the power of team leaders, who are the driving forces of the team in this Agile solution and Agile transformation. The third one is do not forget that this is a change management drive, and it will be hard until you achieve the final results. And thank you very much, and my friend Viraj will now take into the third steps, which is the enterprise adoption.
Thank you, Ramesh. Now, so far my colleagues have explained to you regarding this whole exercise, and the next step is the enterprise adaptation. To do a proper adaptation, the Agile solution units should be positioned as a role models for change and success inside the company. The second thing is that Agile solution should be empowered and grown before starting to expand this culture inside the whole IT experience. So if we ensure that these factors are properly managed, then it is ensured that proper adaptation can be happen. So there are 3 adaptation strategies as recognized by Vodafone from this whole exercise. One most important one is the transparency, and empowerment and the communication. Why these three factors are so important for this entire process? Let's take one by one. First one is the transparency. The team should ensure that whatever they do within the system will be transparent to the others. It is within your team as well as to the entire business. So transparent to better align and communicate with the business. This is the first and paramount factor for proper adaptation. What is empowerment? Empowerment means you have to identify the Scrum leader and empower them to get proper decisions, to understand the problems. Then only this proper adaptation and whatever we have done so far will be successful. To improve Scrum Master skill is very important to enable the organization to improve. So the moment you empower the Scrum Master, he will gain knowledge and he will share that knowledge with his team, with other teams, and even they can share within themselves within various scrums. So that is why the empowerment is so critical for this entire adaptation. So let's move to the third one. Third one is the communication. As you know, for nowadays any business, the communication is very important. So that is why even for this management system, communication is very important. Why? Because through the communication, the company and business leaders, they know that what is happening within this system. So next slide, we are talking about the responsibilities of enterprise adaptation. So this is basically the responsibility from the business perspective as well as the team's perspective. So let's take from the company's perspective, what are the responsibilities that they have to take for proper adaptation. First one is grow agile culture enterprise-wide. And second one is the establish body of knowledge and standards within the organization. What are the responsibilities of each scrum or the management teams? First one, the support Scrum Masters and their teams and roll out new agile teams. I would like to highlight a couple of things that the entire management team and the Scrum teams have learned from this Vodafone whole exercise. First one, the strong management sponsorship. The second one, a strong collaboration between the leaders. And third one, the agile transformation is all about culture and people. So Scrum team as well as the business leaders has to understand and implement these adaptations. This is what I can summarize in terms of adaptation. So I would like to invite Mr. Farsan to summarize this whole exercise.
So finally, what we have understood from this case, the success story of Vodafone in transmitting their existing process into a new organizational culture through the magical word called agile transformation. So it's a clear case of organizational change. The change that took place, an agile solution have been established to protect and empower the agile mindset in Vodafone. The contribution of Scrum team is remarkable, and it has the main factor that have triggered the change at the organizational structure. It is important to highlight the discipline Vodafone embrace in this process was one of the key reason for the success. Improving process with Kaizen culture, the team focused game that they have played, and the principle of transparency all have made the Scrum team to achieve this success. So it's a clear case of an initiative taken by Vodafone in search of improving productivity. It became an organizational culture through a radical change. Radical but a steady, proven change. Thank you very much. It's a great opportunity for us to understand a success story, and we hope the lessons learned from this case we try implement in our job roles in the future when there is an opportunity arises. Thank you very much.